all these different things.
Like you could literally, I shit you not. You could look at my friend. He wears headphones. He's got
all right.
He's got
Daniel, breathe. Hello, everyone. It's Damon with MBTV. We got a special guest here. We got Jet. He's got I believe his channel is jetplane48. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jet. Very special guest, ESTP. We got Trey, INFJ, Daniel, ENFJ, Blake, ESTJ, not in a suit. So we're making progress here. Just a regular dress shirt. So
still a collared shirt.
That being said, though, Jet, welcome. This is your obviously first time on our channel, so we appreciate it. And let's get this show started. So, Jet, you asked me a question earlier about the similarities between our type. So I was curious where you were going with that. I'd be interested in hearing.
There's a lot of people saying that ESTPs are similar to ENTJs in the fact that we cut the bullshit and just go straight to the point sometimes, almost disregarding feelings. However, I want to know what you think about that, just that phrase.
Okay. I say that is true because both of us have functions that are, especially SE and the use of SE. So for sure, we both want to apply that type of force, cut through the bullshit, see what it is for what it is, both speak at face value.
Right.
So it is what it is, and we see that, and we want to cut through it. Most types want to cut through it, but because we prefer SE in a way of our extroversion, and we prefer extroversion, our SE has a wider scope than our introvert opposites, INTJ and ISTP.
ENTJs are probably the most well-spoken people I've ever come across. Anybody with a TE, like high up in the stack, just come across like so well-spoken. You guys know exactly what to say. Everything just flows so perfectly. But then when it comes to like a person that follows or is in the gamma quadrant, such as I, like the ENFJ, you have Daniel over there, talks a bit stuttery, right? I mean, I don't know. He's on mute, so I guess he doesn't want to talk.
He doesn't talk at all.
Really? So is this like a daily thing, a weekly thing?
We do twice a week usually, and try to keep up with them as much as possible. Obviously, we make exceptions here and there, but interesting. You mentioned the quadras. That's a really good point. There's those in the gamma quadra. We typically the TE is kind of cut and dry. It's pretty dry in the way it's communication. Those in the beta quadra, like ESTPs, ENFJs. The ESTP really does well with the SE-FE combination. They tend to be very good in the social interaction. The TE-SE combination tends to be good in the presentation professor style monologue.
Right.
So it's a little bit different the way it is, but I think ultimately that's what we're noticing. So anyway, Jet. So I wanted to ask you a few questions about ultimately being ESTP. When did you find out about MBTI, and what got you into it? And then what is your life like as ESTP?
2010 was the year that I was a junior in high school. It turned out that I had a very particular interest in learning about people. People just seemed to be my thing, knowing how people work. I think I came up to the conclusion that I had to use some sort of like analytical tool in my mind where it was introverted thinking, where I kind of that function itself likes to dissect and pretty much scrutinize things and dissemble a lot of function like things in life. The best way I could explain it is yeah, just that way. I mean, I'm not too sure if that really makes sense. It probably doesn't, but to me it makes perfect sense. I think that's another thing with TI, or it could just be that I have horrible conversational skills. But I'm not too sure about that. How's my life as an ESTP? It's fucking great. I don't know if if any of the other people agree. I see Daniel laughing right there. I could say the same for you guys.
Fantastic.
Oh, exactly. I could say the same for you guys and ask you guys, how is life as your respective types? And I should receive pretty similar results. I mean, I'll put my mic on mute just so I can hear you guys talk.
Yeah, so like what you're talking about with trying to understand people with a framework, with TI, that's pretty much what got me very interested. And so we may engage with functions differently because we prefer different functions, right? Because you're an ESTP. you know, I engage with people with, I guess, in a different way that you would want to engage with people. So, you know, there'd be really distinct differences in why we would want to know information about people, I guess, and maybe Damon can go more into that.
Damon? Yeah, I want to hear that.
So I can't speak for those in the beta, but I can tell you that in my experience, you know, for me, it's a lot more stressful. The gamma quadrant naturally has struggles with relaxing. And so they tend to put a lot of pressure on themselves as well. And so that's kind of the natural angle of the gamma quadrant in general, is that struggle relaxing. So ultimately life is great. I mean, I've always enjoyed my aspect of living, but as far as I think our definitions would be different in each quadra, I'm interested in pulling up the delta quadrant, which I believe that Blake is, and I'm going to hear what his perspective is, but I can tell you relaxing is definitely difficult for us in the gamma. And then I'll have Trey pitch in and see if he agrees or disagrees for another beta. So we've got 3 in the beta here, and then 1 in delta and 1 in gamma. We don't have any alphas represented here. So Trey, would you, or Blake, would you share? Then we'll hop to Trey.
Oh, I feel ignorant. I don't know what this model is you're talking about, but I assume that can you just give a quick rundown for people that don't know the?
Yeah. So Blake, just the quadrant is not important, but ultimately, where do you? I mean, obviously, Jet said he was like, hey, you know, my life's. He basically said his life's badass, and he wonders how you perceive life. He kind of wanted to hear our different perspectives. I related it to the quadras, but ultimately, you don't need to know the quadras just to explain kind of how you experience life and as your type.
Dude, I try to make the most tasks that people see as strenuous or difficult, you know, working, fitness, sitting all day and looking at stuff on the computer. I try to make that fun, okay? And I've tried to like shift my idea of fun from going out, partying, drinking, smoking, the usual stuff that people my age usually think is fun, and kind of go a little bit more introverted, just because I know that's what I have to do. I mean, I enjoy going out and doing those things, but I know that, you know, keeping my head down and working, that's going to provide the results that I need. And I know this because I've seen other people do it, and they've got results from it. So,
Trey?
Yeah, I'd say that for the most part, my life is pretty relaxed, pretty relaxed and pretty enjoyable. I don't know. I don't really like to get stressed out about life. I attempt to just kind of ride along. If something's getting more stressful, I just try to look at it differently. And normally, you know, things just kind of come together.
Perfect. So, all right, Jet, and another question for you too is, how do you use your logic in your life? I'm curious.
Give me a scenario.
Okay, so like for example, I mean, obviously you're a logical person. I mean, you prefer logic over feeling. What is the kind of when you kind of like move through things and you recognize that you're not an ESFP or ESTP? How did you recognize logic in yourself? And then how do you use it with like your close acquaintances versus say in a professional setting?
It's not that I use stereotypes so often to really come to understand things. Like, for example, I think the stereotype out there for ESFPs are like they're big airheads. They like to party a lot. They do drugs, and they're just a nonstop, all have fun all the time kind of machine. Yeah, yeah, that too, Blake. But ESTPs, I feel like, are just a bit more calming in their nature because they have that FE. When you talk to them, I'm sure FE users can attest to this too. People with FE higher up in their stack, they tend to be just a little bit more expressive in their, I don't know, facial features, or rather expressions. Like if you talk to Blake or Daniel, for example, they'll try to smile, and that forces you to smile for some odd reason. It's weird, exactly, but I can't explain it any better than if I had FI as my secondary function. I mean, I don't really have that many morals to begin with, or any that I'd like to discuss. I just know that I use TI more often than FI, just because TI to me just seems like a better use of my time to prefer over FI, I guess. I'm not really too sure on how else to elaborate on that, but as far as the answer to your question goes, I guess I could use that as my answer unless you don't find that sufficient enough.
No, that's perfectly fine. I mean, I just was kind of curious to say, I mean, do your friends call you logical, or do they call, what kind of a,
If you really want to know me as a person, you'd have to talk to like my best friends, and they know me as a goofy sort of dork who has a tough outer shell, but really squishy on the inside. As dumb as that sounds, I'm sure there's guys out there who have that sort of tendencies, especially when it comes to like, if you were to include gender in here, I'm sure there are types out there that like kind of emasculate themselves. They have a very, I don't know, they don't think they're man enough, so they like buy a super big truck, or they get like really mean tattoos, or I don't know, whatever the fuck, whatever the hell they think makes a man look like a man. But as for an ESTP, you could just ask my friends, they'll just say I'm a big goofball most of the time. I'm fun to be around, I hope, but right now I have very limited attention, if you could tell.
most ESTPs do, so there's no qualms there. So Daniel, you look like you had something to pitch in.
Let's hear it.
I didn't actually have anything to pitch in.
You unmuted your microphone. You fooled me.
Yeah.
All right.
There's,
Okay,
I mean, there's loads for me to say, but like I'm trying to withhold a lot.
No,
So.
go ahead. I want to hear betas interact too.
Like I don't know what it is. Like when I talk with other betas and like I get like the same quadra, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's always like two peas in a pod, kind of like my friend who's an ISTP, right? Like it's weird. Like we have less in common, but we just kind of fit better together. And it's like, I don't know, like we have this thing, and I don't know if you have the same experience, Jet, where you can be hanging out with somebody and like it may be like something you like to do together. Like I'll give you an example. Me and my friend who's an ISTP like to go fishing together. We never talk, but like we just chill and like we just like crack jokes like every 1 hour. And it's like it would seem to like people on the outside, or like even if we're like out and we're drinking or we're doing something, like it seems like on the outside of like that kind of friendship, like it's like, well, there's nothing going on here, but like there's a lot of like peacefulness and kind of like vibing, I guess you would call it. Like, do you feel like you vibe people and like there's a presence to that?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, so guys, audience, look at if you really draw the comparison. If you're struggling between ESTP and ESTJ, I don't know, Jet, have you ever come across ESTJs in your experience, or ones that you've known are ESTJs? What comparisons can you draw between yourself and other ESTJs, or ESTJs rather, and as you as an ESTP?
My girlfriend's older sister is an ESTJ, and I can affirm this because she's totally hard-headed, will not back down from a fight, stubborn, similar to the ISTJ. But the only way like I differentiate between like leading with TE or leading with SI or like any other respective functions is like, do they seem quieter and stuff versus, you know, a little bit more extroverted. It's not as simple as that when it comes down to like me coming down to like or drawing a conclusion for like a person, but I know for a fact she's just an ESTJ. I really can't explain it other than I just have a good feeling in my gut. Like I'm pretty sure you are what you are if I say what you are. Like moving on from that, your question was what similarities and differences can I draw between her and I?
Yeah, and what tips would you give them to associate with you, or rather to get along with you better?
ESTJs are no fun. ESTPs are all fun. That's it.
Sounds about right. Blake, would you confirm with that?
Oh man, yeah.
That's all that needs to be said. He goes, "Yep, I agree." So, guys, if you're struggling, if you like to have a lot of fun, you're probably not ESTJ. Apparently, you're probably something else. Daniel, did you have something to add to that, or are you just unmuting again, trying to fool me?
I never muted back. So, but the idea, like, there's a huge difference between ESTJs and ESTPs, though. You know?
Huge. My dad's a ESTP, and we've been at odds. But he definitely knows how to have a better time than me.
Like, Blake, I could see your dad coming in your room, and you're like, Dad, this isn't time where we spend time together. That's actually for later in the afternoon. So can you leave? I have work to do.
Oh, it's funny.
Yeah,
if
like,
you ever come into my room to try to.
This is like an ESTP. Like, Dad would come in the room, and then the ESTP would be like, "Let's just do something right now. Then that you're here, immediate attention kind of thing." So,
Yeah.
I have a question for Jet, if we're going by channel name.
Shoot.
So, like, I've worked with a lot of STPs in my history, because I used to be in sales. I'm still in sales, but like different sales. But I used to like sell cars for a while, for like 2 or 3 years, and so I was always around ISTPs and ESTPs. And like one of the main things I noticed is that like ESTPs are like, and what I see, not just like in celebrities or like in general, ESTPs are really about making things happen and like really succeeding in what they want and not afraid to do it, and learning through the actions they make to make better decisions, right? Whereas you're not really thinking about the decisions. It's more like instantaneous, as somebody would, like, I'll give you an example. Like, you would probably be so good at kind of making correct decisions as I am making correct decisions about people, right? Because I have that intuitive slant to me, as you do, you know, your sensory slant. But similarly to the ISTP, right, I would work with so many ISTPs where they just sit in front of their computer and like want to do so much for their life and want to make these actions happen, but they're so afraid of failure, and they'd rather understand what's going on rather than commit to the action, right? And so, like, do you see yourself kind of, at one point, did you see yourself like that, or how do you see yourself in that situation?
In terms of wanting to make things happen,
Yeah.
I'm the person in the group who I am tired of people just trying to make ideas. Like, let's say, hey guys, like, let's say there's a group of 10 people, okay, 10 friends. Guys, where do you want to eat for lunch? My answer, I don't care. Let's go anywhere right now. I don't give a fuck. Let's pick a place to go. In fact, there doesn't have to be a voting system put in place. Let's just do eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and go there. Like, I don't understand why people take too long of a time to figure out, you know, pointless details. Like, does it really matter that you had to have your taco today? Did you need that coffee break? Like, no, dude.
Yeah. So, like, when it comes to more important areas, like in your life, like careers, or making maybe like a hustler move, and you want to buy and sell things, right? Like, what goes through your mind to like processing decision making, right? Like, oh, cool, like, I'm gonna go get that job, or, you know what, I'm just gonna change careers, or, you know, where do you see yourself as far as planning like the future? Because that's like that's like a potential kind of back room kind of thought maybe for you, planning the future versus being in the moment. So, like, how does your decision making kind of coincide with, you know, building for that future?
I'm sure you and I share some sort of framework, but the way my framework works is I have a skeleton of what I want done. Now, what is superficial to the skeleton? Organs, and you have eventually you reach all the way to the skin,
Right.
the epithelium. So I just have the skeleton mapped out right now. As I go on in life, things will just land in place, either bad or good decisions. I don't really care to think too much about them.
As long as you have the skeleton intact.
Yes.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
I kind of ad-lib life. So, I mean, of course, not 100%, because that's just plain stupidity if you really are going to approach life like that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if someone's approaching that, doing life like that right now, and you're watching this, I feel sorry for you, bro, or girl. But in my eyes, you're doing it completely wrong. You probably deserve to contemplate life just a little bit longer and figure out what you want to do.
do you find yourself bouncing back from like a focal point in which like you have like this kind of framework and you can do things in life and then always come back to like kind of like an area of how you operate? Does that make sense?
My question is, why are you asking me this?
Yeah.
Not to come off as, like aggressive or whatever. I just
No.
just
Because like I'm trying to get to the core of how you make decisions and that process of you really taking control of that sensing part of you, because that's your lead function, is sensing. And so, you're you can be viewed almost like an ENTJ, except not to like stigmatize less coordination with decision making, but I would want to understand the process of, okay, this is how I came to the conclusion of doing something and then doing it.
I think by nature, Daniel, you're defuncting what the ESTP is. The ESTP is a perceiver first.
Yeah.
And they add, you're reaching a conclusion. They're not thinking about reaching a conclusion. They're doing.
Yeah.
They're action oriented. So the question in itself is set up to not really highlight the ESTP.
My strengths.
Yeah.
Well,
it's not.
Well, like, what I mean is, like, I know they're perceivers, but like I'm talking about like when they finally do make a decision. I mean,
No, it's not that they defer decisions. It's just it's automatic. They trust the moment. It's the moment is where the power is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not. You got to remember that when we look at different types, they have a totally different way of processing. And it's easy to say, well, when you come to a decision, what road do you take? But see, the thing is, they're already past the crossroad. Then you're asking them to look back. The ESTP is called the doer for a reason. They're already gone doing it. It's not like when they reach a decision, it's a different process for them totally.
You've angered the ENTJ god, man. Look at you.
So we just got to make sure that when we're looking at it in that way, we're looking at it in a way of understanding that the question wouldn't highlight anything about the ESTP because that's not something that naturally they come to roads with.
Right.
It's like it's when we're forming a decision, because you and I are judges first, where you're using FE and I'm using TE. We're looking at the way that we're approaching a decision. We're going, okay, how do we figure this out? How do we map this out? Look at the pros and cons. What are we going to do? Who is this going to affect? How is it going to affect them? What's the result? Well, how can we maximize efficiency in the situation? How can we harmonize the environment? Right.
Yeah.
But for him, he already knows. The ESTP trusts the gut. They have inferior intuition, and they also trust the moment, if that makes sense. It's just boom, I got it. It's like they know what to do. You throw a baseball at them, they're going to catch it and throw it right back at you. And then they're like, man, I was impulse. I just acted it off what I was trained to do.
Yeah, I kind of knew that like already, but like I just wanted to know if there was anything more to it. You know what I mean? To extend on it.
Sure.
Oh, you want to, like, I can always add more if you want. Like, what are you looking for? Not to be,
like put me like in like the mindset of you doing, right? That's what I'm interested in, right?
This is how it
I
happens.
see ESTPs do, but I'm just like, what is going through your mind when you do things?
It's literally monkeys doing things. As complicated as that sounds, that's really how it is.
Yeah.
It's just blank up here, but my body is, this everything down here, this side below my neck is an extension on up here. Essentially, my brain goes blank whenever I want to just do something random. There's not so much of a secondary gut feeling that says, should I be doing this? Unless it's like illegal and I know it's illegal, then I won't be doing it. Otherwise, like these, I got these a couple days ago. It was completely like random, out of nowhere. Why not? I have extra cash. Sure.
Okay.
So
Makes sense.
this is actually really fascinating because a neuroscientist who does quite a bit of work on types mentioned extroverted sensing, which is your leading function, obviously. So I'm curious, Jet. He talked about a tennis ball pattern, how he looks at extroverted sensing, and what that means is basically that it's more like they know where it's going and they're going to already catch it by the time it's actually there. And it's not that they're actually thinking about this per se. It's acting off of stimulus in the moment. What is your experience with that in general? Like anything in the moment that you just act off of it because, and you have a reaction, and it's usually the right reaction. Is it more of a trust in what sensory information you're getting right now, or is it just I'm living as is and that's what it is? What kind of goes through your mind in that regard?
It's funny because I actually do play tennis, and that's one of my favorite sports to play. Same thing with basketball, same thing. Any sport, there should be, no matter if it's a very physical, heavy sport like tennis, basketball, swimming, or not so physical, such as chess. You could consider chess a sport, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
However, there are degrees to which you have to predict certain things or outcomes. To me, that happens naturally more when it comes to using the body heavily. If I see a tennis ball coming my way, my body already floats and gravitates towards that spot where I need to be to appropriate my moves to be in a certain spot to fix that and then correct it. And I mean, tennis is just a game of geometry. That tennis ball analogy that you mentioned is perfect because I like you said, my body pretty much just goes to where it needs to be. It within a very split second, I know what needs to be done and how to execute it, so to speak. It's kind of strange how that happens, but I don't tend to think about it too often because it really fucks up my day, and it's like now I'm using TI more than SE, so I don't.
Yeah. So the way that I also want to add is this particular neuroscientist is an INTJ, and he has a fascination with SE as his inferior function. And so he also mentioned what he called a blue state or a flow state, which is, when there's activity there and they're focused on activity, their mind literally will clear. They're not actually thinking, they're responding. And so he even referred to them as responders because they're that quick. And so that's, and you mentioned that, you're like, this goes blank. And you just react, which actually is pretty cool if you think about it. And the way that he describes it is it's like the brain hits this total flow state. You don't have to think. Almost like he calls it a Zen state when he compares it with other types. So you mentioned that when you play sports as well. So I'm going to change the topic to, do you know any INFJs, Jet? And if you do, what's your experience been with INFJs?
Currently none, but so far incredible. And that's all I have to say about that, unless you want me to expound.
So far, you said incredibly, you haven't ran into any INFJs?
No, like as in so far, I don't know any INFJs.
Okay. All right. So yeah,
It'd be
we
cool
had
to
an
see some at
audience
school.
ask that question. They were curious to know if what advice you would have for INFJs.
But advice concerning what? Like how to deal with ESTPs or some shit.
Okay. So guys, when you're asking questions, ESTPs, we need some details. It's important to ask questions with enough details so that way he knows to answer the question in the most effective way. So let's just say that he meant advice as in getting more in touch with extroverted sensing.
Hey, I could get into that. All right. The way I get to know people is I want to do things with them and not just sit down and have a lovely dinner. Take the spaghetti. You've cooked it, you eat that shit. The normality is nice. I want to go get to know that person via, let's play tennis together. I'll figure out what kind of person you are, how aggressively you play tennis. Are you a soft server? Are you a fast server? Are you good at sprinting? Does that mean, or you're bad at sprinting, land the ball at? So that means you have low SE in your stack, or you have high SI or something. Things in my mind just work certain ways. Probably could relate to this. You probably can't even begin to illustrate or articulate properly how your mind works because it's so jumbled up sometimes. Am I right?
That would be for somebody who probably doesn't have SE in their stack. Trey, would you elaborate on that more as inferior SE?
Elaborate on what exactly?
Well, he was basically stating, how your mind may jumble up when you're proposed with a bunch of external stimuli. So how do you react with that? With a lot of external stimulus, what is your natural reaction?
I think I start to filter it a lot because I can't really handle all that. Like when it comes to like just even a little bit of stimulus, like it's gonna make me think about something else, and I'm gonna like, you know, it's gonna go off in this big cloud of thought, and then, you know, later on I'm gonna be trying to like fill in the blanks, and so it's really hard just to like take things as they are. And so when you say that, I mean, when you say that things just go blank, I can't even imagine what it's like, because like everything's always something in my head. So so when there's a lot of stimuli, I can only imagine like I'll probably try my best to like eliminate some things and just shut down, because I can't handle all of it. I have to just, what I already have, I have to work with that because it's too much.
Blake, I'm curious, for someone who doesn't have SE actively in your stack, although Model G does say that you're good with SE, I am curious in your experience to understand how you would, do you get the blank mind? Do you not? What happens when you're involved with a lot of external stimulus, or stimuli rather? Do you get overwhelmed, underwhelmed? What happens?
Hey, I don't get overwhelmed. I actually thrive in stress, honestly, and
But does
I
it
can
stress you?
No, I could switch something in my head to be in party mode
Okay. So
and totally see it.
let me make a situation then. I'm gonna have to figure out a situation. So
Okay.
let's say that your proposition with a concert. You're at a concert and there's a bunch of things going on, a lot of people doing different things, or a big party or whatever.
Yeah.
With all the external stimuli, Trey probably would be overwhelmed because he'd be getting all these different pieces of information and trying to make sense of it all. What goes to your mind as somebody who has SI preferred over SE? Do you just kind of like just ignore all this stuff going on, or do you try to piece together something? What goes to your mind, and how does it compare to what Jet was saying earlier?
Yo, I try to embrace it. Honestly, I look at the person who's dancing the best, or the person who's like jumping up and down the hardest, and I want to match that or go even harder. So
You turn it into a sport.
yeah.
Okay. And then he mentioned how he plays tennis and how his body just reacts. Obviously, that's true for most people who perform in something they've trained repeatedly over a period of time.
Right.
That comes more natural to ESTPs according to their function stack. At what point, I mean, does that happen for you? And if so, what's that experience like for someone who obviously, like I said, doesn't have SE there?
Well, definitely wasn't naturally. I wasn't naturally gifted in, athletics. I tried football, failed miserably at that. But I realized that having a strong physical body was, needed to be effective in life. And so, I'll exercise some more. And then with the exercise came with better, coordination and ability to react. And that was pretty cool. And shoot, I don't know where I was going with that. Damon, help me.
All right, so I just wanted to know what goes through your mind, like, and during a standard, like you're picking up a new sport. Do you kind of get involved right away, like, or does your mind go to like, hey, I need to execute the right technique, or does it kind of just go into this blue state like it would for someone who's ESTP?
Oh no! Whenever I pick up a new sport, I automatically think, man, is this gonna somehow benefit me? Like, is punching this bag, is it benefiting me? If it is, then I'm definitely gonna do it. But like basketball, I can't play basketball or shoot hoops. I have to be doing a sport that's gonna be that I feel like is gonna be functional. I mean, they're all really functional because they develop, certain things, but punching something or like doing pull-ups, that just seems like a lot more desirable than dribbling a ball or barbell curls.
Okay. I think
so there has to be more of a purpose behind.
Right. You're still looking for purpose. Got it. All right. So that makes sense because the Jet, I think in his perspective, he can just pick it up and really enjoy it for what it is and experience it and probably pick it up pretty quick. Jet,
I'm going to interject.
Yeah.
There's a potential ESTP that might join this video
Yeah,
call.
free.
Really?
Send the link. Yeah, if you send the link, that'd be awesome.
Okay, sorry for being rude. Now you can continue.
Oh yeah. So if Jet, you were here and earlier, I was trying to compare that with the ESTJ in the sense of way that you approach sports. I'm pretty sure naturally you sound like you have a inclination for sports. Is that because you learn things pretty quick on the athletic area in general? And then I got a follow-up question for that. So Jet, if you were here, if not, then I'll save that question for a little bit. I know you're trying to get the other ESTP in here. So Daniel, we'll switch real quick and we'll let him.
Multitask.
Okay. So yeah, what do you think
About sports? And because you mentioned how it's so repetitive now, that my body just automatically does what it's supposed to do for that certain sport.
Yeah. What about a new sport? How do you come across that? What happens?
Easily, with charm and grace and passion. If I've never done rock climbing, but I know for a fact that I would be good at it if given enough time. I believe that, and I'm similar to the ISTJ in this fact that you could pretty much break something down. Like the ISTJ, for example, let's say is given the task to torture a terrorist for information. With time and time given, the ISTJ will get that job done just by brute forcing and just waiting out, the information until the terrorist is exhausted. Or the same could be said for me with sports. I just give it my all every single time, and absolutely do not fail. Like once I fail, I have to think what went wrong that time. What can I do to improve it? Is it because I turned my wrist a certain way for rock climbing? Is this a more powerful grip? That's pretty much it. Sports, easy. I'm also kind of uncoordinated at times, but I'm sure that's just because I have some sort of problem with me medically, but I'm not too sure. Who knows? But I do have to say the other ESTP might be joining us. This should be interesting. And I'm not too sure if he's an ISTP, but you guys can be the judge of that. Or ESTP, my bad. He could be an ESFP, I don't even know. But I mean, you guys are probably better at typing people than I am. I consider myself.
We have no problem judging.
Yeah, everyone in here has the J tacked at the end of their acronym. So yeah, you kind of.
Hey, Jed, I actually had some input on how I deal with sensing physically. When I think about it, I don't know if you would be able to relate to this, but when it comes to sports or sensory data, I actually prefer to get lost in critical mode, if that makes sense.
No.
So if I'm playing sports like tennis, right? I do what you do. I break it down because I have that achieving slant to me. I only do activities that I either really succeed in or I don't do them at all. So if I'm playing tennis against you, I'm gonna break it down. I'm gonna be really good at it, and really, I'm gonna pick it up probably after the third or fourth game. And if I'm not good at it, I'm just gonna joke around and BS around. But similarly, I look for activities to do where I can just get lost mentally in the actual thing. When I work out, I just get lost. When I practice MMA, I just get lost. When I run, I just get lost. But I'm there in the moment. You know what I mean? So it's.
Go on. No, you got one last thing to say.
Yeah. So it's there's no middle ground. It's I go either full force or I'm not even trying.
Actually, the similarity is there. But I think I'm more serious when it comes to things I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
One thing I am passionate about. Sorry if I'm super loud.
No, you're not.
Basically, is just. Can you hear me, or is it real bad?
It's actually pretty quiet.
Are you serious? Okay, I know how to fix this. And
It's fixed. Hello?
Yep.
All right, perfect. So essentially, I love to go to the gym. It's one of my favorite hobbies, but there's a subgenre of the gym known as powerlifting, and I love that sport because it's just so, not just powerlifting, but also Olympic lifting and weightlifting in general. It requires very minute detail attention. You have to really like pay attention to your body and what your body can or cannot do, and then you have to train those certain body parts. Like say for example a squat. If you were to perform a squat right now, I mean, I could probably watch you guys all perform the squat right now, and then I would be able to give you guys advice, and then within given enough time, you guys would be able to learn. But that's besides the problem. Point is, I get very immersed in doing what I love to do the most. But when it comes to say something I don't like doing, is I think that's what you're trying to get me to talk about, right? No, you don't know. I don't know. I don't know either.
Whatever works, because like
Okay.
'cause we both have like the same functions, just in a different route. So it's like, you know, we value different parts. Like what you're talking about when it comes to like minute detail, like it takes me a while to build up to understanding that. Like I've been working out for like maybe 5 or 6 years, and so
Right.
I'm just getting to like body sensitivity and understanding how that is. But like I've always been into like meditation, and so like, but I have like a different kind of awareness for that, right? Than I do working out or playing basketball or running, right? And so it's almost like I struggle when it comes to perfecting skill than it is the actual process.
Does meditating actually work?
Oh yeah.
Like how I can't imagine just sitting in one place and doing nothing. I mean, I know your mind's supposed to actively be doing something.
There's actually a lot of body awareness with it.
I don't think I could compete, man. I think you'd beat me. That's the only sport I would go last place in happily.
Yeah, no, meditation is
Yeah,
so
I think I could meditate all day if I wanted to. Just
Mr.
Yeah.
Ni speaks.
Oh, wow. That actually brings to the next question for the audience. The audience had a question for you, Jet, which was, you know, how do you approach the world of, let's say, automatic responses to ideas? Like, how do you approach the world of ideas?
Interesting.
And then do you find it frustrating to navigate ideas and concepts or things that are not tangible and real? How do you approach that?
I want you to provide me an idea right now that you think I won't be able to process.
Okay, and that,
Is there
yeah, I don't
something-
know. That's the question of the
I'll give
audience.
you one.
Perfect.
I teach people how to astral project.
Oh man, you're one of those people. Oh shit. Let's go.
And
Let's hear
lucid
it.
Yeah,
Okay, this is
so
going
that's
to be
it.
good, guys.
Pretty much like just
No.
separating from your
Explain-
body.
okay, yeah, how do you explain astral projection?
An out-of-body experience, or OOD.
Well, I mean, do you think it's real? Do you think it's fake? What is your perception of it?
I believe in Santa Claus. Anything is valid at this point. But being on a more serious note, astral projection. If this guy down here says it can be done, it can be done.
Yeah.
I'm. You could say I'm gullible, sure, but I will do everything at least once. I won't fuck around with a Ouija board though. You guys can do that. I'll watch from like a mile away.
That's something I will never do.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, why? Are you scared? Would you like me to hold your hand while we do it?
You know what's crazy? Let me tell you something. I did a video. I explained what astral projection was, what it meant to me, the channel that I did, and like it got really popular. It got like over like it's close to 100K views, and so many people talk about their experience in the comments of like all this bad stuff happening, right? Of all the times I've projected, nothing bad has happened. What?
Wait, are you the guy? Are you this guy from YouTube? Hold up.
He's looking you up right now, dude. I think he knows he found you.
That's. But I knew that voice sounded familiar. Oh wait,
Yeah.
no. Well,
You can look up my channel is called astral projection. So
really, because I looked
literally
it up
called
before. I don't know. I saw you on Damon's channel. It was that.
yeah, it's me.
That's where you're from. Okay.
Yeah.
Channel.
So, but anyway, so like my point was like I've only had good experiences doing it, And like when I tell people about it, I don't come from a place where it's like esoteric or like it's like some kind of phenomenon. It's either like a chemical reaction or you believe in like, you know, the actual experience. It's like,
But you're
regardless,
an ENFJ. Everything's supposed to be esoteric.
not necessarily.
So
Not necessarily. Yeah. But like I had like a window in my life where like I was super like into all that stuff, but then it like passed. You know what I mean? So
now my question for you is,
what? I didn't hear that.
If astral projection works, you're still skeptical about the Ouija board, is what I'm saying.
Right. So like I never did a Ouija board, and like it's only like the idea is like you don't know what you're doing with that. I only know from personal experience what projecting does and what meditation does, right? And so like,
what's stopping you from doing? Like my SE is basically saying, just go do it. Don't even look at the consequences because it could be.
It's like if you wanted to go the route of certain doom or the possibility of certain doom, so just do that then. But like my thing is like, why would you even want to risk it when you know that like it's like, what if like, all right, this is going to be really extreme, but like there's a girl that you like, she has an STD, and you're like, should I just do it? Certain doom, there's a potential. Would you do that or no? And like just equate it to Ouija board, right?
If I was single and I had no prior knowledge,
Yeah.
it was to my type of if I was attracted to her.
Yeah.
Otherwise, no, because that's kind of like rape, bro.
Yeah.
But all I can say is I will accept your answer because I'm in the same boat as you. I won't touch it. I don't know what you other guys feel about that.
It's just like it's got like a negative connotation to it, right? Whereas like I've experienced
a super negative connotation, and there's the ability to summon whatever the, because that's what I believe in. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, feel free to. I mean, I hope Damon comes not real, and here's why, and also Blake comes in with the same kind of BS too.
All right, so I didn't hear that last part, but I heard something about dropping in. But I still want to know the answer to the question that for that audience earlier that we had, which was obviously we extrapolated to the concept of STDs and Ouija boards, but I was wondering still about the concept of how you actually approach ideas in general, things that are theoretical. I'm just curious about what do you find much merit in those things, or do you find them to be frustrating at all?
I do, because obviously people like yourself that can utilize that information a lot better than I can ever like begin to. See, there are chemists out there, you know, making you, I don't know. I mean, I can't wrap my hand around whatever the hell they're doing. Or astrophysicists. I mean, the science is there. I believe in that. You know, it's there for a reason, and people are out there studying because this size. So it's just not gonna happen.
Okay, perfect. Well, you know, and if you got audience that's paying attention, obviously, you know, you can see that he's got as someone who's ESTP, there's strong kinesthetic intelligence, and that's what really is highlighting the outline of the functions here. It's just understanding how we're processing this information in different ways. And I think that's a big draw to what we're actually trying to get to, looking at different types. Now, Daniel, did you guys finish the earlier conversation regarding your STDs and Ouija boards? I wanted to make sure we're...
Yeah, we did. Just pretty much don't do things that are just certain doom, right?
Okay, so... Speaking of certain doom, it is said, Jet, that ESTPs have occasional bouts in their life where they may be super stressed and they may foresee something terrible happening. Have you ever had an experience like that where you foresee something terrible happening, or a doomsday-ish kind of foresight about something or anything like that?
I think you're like referring to the inferior NI when it's stressed out or
Yeah.
something, or shadow functions appear.
Right.
I don't know what you're talking about, but it sounds familiar for some odd reason. And yes, I have. It's a very vivid back in my mind. It just happens for like where I blank out, and it kind of works as an ST lead. I don't know how else to label that, but the way I'm doing this is I see like seeing the environment, and then sometimes I just catch myself just zoning off and looking in a general direction, or I have my eye on an object, or God knows whatever, right? But the way the thing works is the same principle, except for some reason I'm not thinking in the heating because I'm so shit like my grandma, but like in the most horrific way possible. I don't know. It's pretty creepy how that happens. It also frightens me, and that's really all I have to say about that.
What's interesting is the INFJ, who is the total opposite, actually prefers those moments, and then tends to feel the same way about actual sensory information. And Trey can explain, he enjoys looking at that one object for 45 minutes straight and getting the new insight. So Trey, would you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, you know, it's kind of interesting because when I think about the way that INFJs actually process things, what they're trying to do is they're trying to build a understanding of like a TI understanding of how they can just move in the moment. If an INFJ had lived like 400 years, just as an example, then they've had so much experience that they probably have a very, very good TI framework that allows them to just move and do whatever they want using that TI as a reference, which would be one way to get an INFJ moving. But it's so interesting because it would take, like I said, it takes so long to get to that point. So for the most part, though, INFJs are just, they're trying to figure it out almost the hard way because an ESTP would just jump and move into it and learn from their mistakes or whatever they see happen. It'd just be like, okay, this happens. Okay, I learned. This is how I do it next time, or let's try that, And it's just so easy. It's just go, go, go. While I can sit on one thing and just think about it for like forever, or just kind of ask myself how I should approach something forever. And the thing is, when it comes to ideas, it's even better because when I'm thinking about an issue in life, it's okay because I can sit there and think about it. That's one thing. But when it comes to ideas, I really enjoy it. I really enjoy filling in all the gaps in the information and all that. And I think that for the most part, it has some kind of end point. Like maybe eventually I'll be able to use this for something. You know what I mean? And actually create something with it. But really, I think the key point that I've always thought I'm here for is just to understand things better. I don't ever think that really, I have any kind of, I don't know. I just feel like I'm here to understand things. So anytime that I'm sitting here staring off in the distance, I'm okay with it. People might laugh or something, but I'm learning something and I'm understanding myself better, understanding another person better, just from that, that stare.
Okay, so guys, we're gonna take a brief second, and I'm gonna let you guys know if you guys want to add, subscribe to Jet's YouTube channel. It's jetplane48. Earlier in the call, I said jetplane40. I was wrong. It's jetplane48. Feel free to subscribe to him as well, and make sure you check out his channel. It's got a lot of entertaining stuff on there. So that being said, Daniel, do you got something to add?
No.
Okay, so we should have another ESTP probably joining us here in a few minutes, and we're gonna see what it's like adding another beta to the group of 3 betas, and we'll be Gamma and Delta will be pretty outnumbered, but I'm very interested in seeing this interaction. So this is going to be quite amusing for me to see this this full-on beta interaction that we're going to see going on here in a second.
I have a
Daniel,
question.
go ahead. Yeah.
I have a question for Jet. Have you met any other ENFJs or are friends with ENFJs? And if so, what is the friendship dynamic like What do you like from it? What do you not like from it?
I suspect one of my friends being ENFJ, or ESFJ. I'm really not too sure. I just know the big differences between ESFJs and ENFJs. Are you guys don't mind expressing the heavier set kind of emotions?
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, you gotta know it's nice.
Pretty much the biggest thing that I've noticed about oh, sorry.
Yeah, go on.
Oh no, the biggest thing that I could tell you is that ESFJs just know a lot of random information, like a ton of random information. Like I don't know, I couldn't give you an example. Whereas like for me, I'm more interested in the kind of information I absorb. I think ESFJs can come off more nurturing and less more of a helper, but more of like a nurturer than that. And I guess when you are befriending an ENFJ past the point of the emotions, it's not really as much as what the emotion, it's not really as much of expressing the emotions, but following up with that, like, what does it mean in the bigger picture? Where like, I'm not really, I mean, I really do express a lot, but that's natural. But like, there's going to be more to it down the road, I guess, if that makes sense. Like, there'll be more intuitive conversations.
I don't direct it towards me.
He was just asking if it made sense. But so anyway, Blake, do you have anything to add so far? Anything you're interested in for Jet?
What do you consider yourself to have a stronger NE than most other ESTPs, or intuition? Sorry, in general.
Define that. What do you mean?
Dude, like deep thoughts, and you sometimes talk about stuff that goes over people's heads.
Yes.
More often than other ESTPs.
Yeah, how do you compare to other ESTPs in general?
Sure.
What differentiates yourself from that? I think that's how you say that.
Oh, yeah, I understand the question. Okay, so I think I really have, either I'm not an ESTP or immature, or I'm an ESTP and it's the third option. I'm ESTP and I'm well developed and I'm super mature and healthy, which in my case would be good. That's option B, where I'm unhealthy or whatever. Immature would be not good, and that means I have to fix myself. Or option A, which was I'm not ESTP. So what do you guys think I am, really? Be like an extra, like a really social ISTP who is a chameleon, almost like the INFJ. Yeah, but the question was more so, how do I compare to other ESTPs? And I personally think, and I'm not trying to on other ESTPs, but I think I just am one step a little bit better than them. But I mean, that's what they'll say. Experiences often where ST about one, like you can one up that person. That's so you're so much better.
So Jet, I disabled your camera real quick just so we could speed up the connection. We had a connection issue. You were kind of cutting in.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, so I just shut the camera off temporarily so we can get that thought out. So that way it doesn't get interrupted. Audience was like, hey.
Yeah, no worries. What's the group ID? Do you know, or the group name? Because the link doesn't work for him.
Let me resend it. I'll do that in just right now. See, he should be able to join directly from that link.
Yeah, he's on a phone though, so I don't know if that will work.
Yeah, it'll work on a phone. It's just he has to have this app. So, but yeah, what was your question, Jet? Before you were cutting out, I had to shut off your camera. What were you asking exactly?
What do you guys think I am? Do you really truly believe me to be an ESTP? What even is an ESTP?
To put it this way, you exhibit behaviors that are typical with ESTP. And so, but beyond that, I actually don't know enough about you to even begin to assume what you really are and how you actually prefer information and how you take in information, how you make decisions. But you exhibit standard ESTP behavior. If that's what you're asking, that would be
Yeah,
my
I
assumption.
wish
What
you
do
could possess my body and brain, and then just take like one whole day to be me, and then leave my body and brain afterwards, and then just. But yeah. Anyway, I
Use a
do
Ouija
understand.
board. I mean,
Yeah, dude. Honestly, that's
you can figure
probably your
something out.
best bet. But then I don't want like a demon possessing your body. But
Yeah, that'd be awkward.
anyway, moving on.
You
You
can
were
make
saying,
a MBTV Ouija board.
Whoa.
please
I don't
no.
want to put my name on a Ouija board. I don't want to put the company. But all right. So that being said, though, so yeah, I would say my gut reaction is ESTP. I think the audience would agree. You know, they can feel free to add you guys' opinions on there and let us know what you guys might think he is, and we'll get some differing opinions. But he's wondering if he really is ESTP. I would say that standard behavior, yes, in my experience, and especially the way you answered the questions. Very similar with the ESTP that I was formerly associated with through business. And there would be times, speaking of theoretical information, where we would get into these really, really like long, drawn out, sit down, sit still discussions, and he would fall asleep. And, and it would be funny because he's really intelligent. It wasn't like he wasn't a super intelligent person. But if he wasn't moving or doing something, he'd be out.
Yep. No, that's me.
Yeah.
I hate to break it to you, but like honestly, when it really comes, if you want me to sit down, you're going to have to keep my attention to try your hardest. I'm piecing out, man.
Yeah. See, that's in general. Even on this call, I realized that you're like, that ESTP mentality. I already anticipated it.
I want to go.
Yeah, we only can do so much with ESTPs. That's why a lot of times that, like I've mentioned in previous videos too, that it's kind of like they're often diagnosed with ADHD in a way. If they're not doing something physically active, it's like, I got to go do other things.
Yeah, actually, that's something I noticed. We had a comment saying that you're pretty comfortable, Jet, with your NI. I actually noticed that upon analyzing you throughout this call, is that you have a very grounded feel versus a lot of, I guess, stereotypical, I guess you would say ESTPs who really don't think to engage as much with their NI, and maybe until they're later on in life or they have a preference for it. You seem pretty open to, this kind of conversation. Comparatively, like, I'll give you an example. Like, my mom has a boyfriend who's an ESTP, and my mom's trying to kind of talk to him about, in different examples, like about the reasons why, he may be doing something. And, it's just kind of like a disconnect with like reasons and what he thinks about it. And I can see that there's, I don't know too many ESTPs, but from the ones that I know, seem pretty engaged and balanced with that. Seem pretty grounded.
Right.
So, Jet, audience feedback. We got a couple people said ESTP, and they said option 3 or option A, as you called it, as matured ESTP.
Ooh, what website? Can I see the link?
For the chat?
Yes, for the live audience feed.
Yeah. Let me send that to you.
This should be interesting.
It's in the sidebar if you're on a computer.
Oh, no way. This is dope. Perfect.
Yeah, so that's the link to it. But if you have it open, you can see it.
Holy crap! So many people.
Yeah.
Okay.
We should have given him that link to begin with. He would have been either looking at the chat or looking at us.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people to interact with there. So however he wants to do that. But yeah. So anyway, go ahead, Daniel.
I had a question. So your tertiary function's FE, right? So do you have any fixations that you associate with, like an animal or anything that you can do that kind of invoke emotion for you?
Like what animal
I'll give you an example, and it's I don't know if you know who this is, but you know who Dan Bilzerian is?
Oh God, I hate him.
All right. So a good example is like he's obsessed with his cat, right? Like there's his life, and then there's his cat for some reason. So do you have something in your life that like is an emotional stimulus for you in a specific way?
Yes, and all I can say to Mr. Other way to say it. Go. Yes, I have a computer. That's
Yeah.
it. I am obsessed over my computer, and that's about it. Like, this is the only thing that keeps me out in life with, whoever I run into. Then I'm in here, or whatever. But like, were you asking more so as for an animal kind of?
No, because because when you take a look at like the tertiary function, right? It's kind of like out of control, but it's also a fixation. Like for me, sensing is a fixation for me. Like if I'm in the middle of like a restaurant and I'm like on a date, right? Like I won't be able to control my attention because I'm always fixating on what's around me. I don't have control over like my direct focus, right? I get overloaded very easily. So like I have to really have situations where I'm very particular with my environment. Similarly for you, you may have particular situations where you're very focused on emotions because you can let loose if otherwise.
If you could just phrase the question just a bit more.
Yeah. So,
I'm so sorry, bro.
It's good. So like, when it comes to your emotions, right? Like, do you feel like you can get overwhelmed easily with them?
Yes.
So my point is, do you have like a system that you usually abide by to make sure that like you have very calculated experiences for emotions?
I could see that. Yeah, I think I do. If I'm angry, I get angry, then I realize it's not whatever I'm being angry about. I try to look at it as one of two options. Is it something to be angry about? Is it not something to be angry about? Option A, yes, it is. Then we'll go pursue that and try to fix it. Second option, I'm mad about, and I won't pursue that, or I'll go fix it, accordingly. But that's pretty much how I do deal with emotions. Like, is this something for me to be happy about? Is this something to me for me to be like confused about? Should I feel jealous right now? Yes or no? And like, I have a follow-up question after that. Like, is whatever. But I'm sure that answers your question. Or is it just not too depth?
Yeah, it does.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So, Jet, do you know if the other ESTP is joining us? Oh, you're on mute.
Told him to restart his phone, and he is having trouble. I will tell you this though, I don't think he's a lot more energetically charged than I think I give off a very chill. If you guys notice it, or I don't know. I mean, I don't know how ESTP energies are supposed to be perceived anyway. I don't know.
Perceive
if J's are supposed to come off. Yeah. Oh God. But yeah, if he comes in, he comes in. If not, then I apologize. I mean, I can't do anything about it.
Yeah, there's always a next time too, right?
Yeah. So down.
Yeah. So that being said, Jet, do you have any questions for any of us?
I do. Each individual, I have a question for. Multiple questions.
All right, shoot.
Every single one of you, I want to know what this in life is. And we could start with Trey, Damon, Daniel, and then Blake.
What was the question?
What your purpose in life is. Let's start with Trey, the INFJ.
Okay.
Do you know your life purpose? 3 tips.
Yeah. So I mean,
Sorry.
when I like looked into tri-type, they have like a tri-type mission, and if you don't know what tri-type is, it's
like
in
SX, SPSO.
Yeah, but it's more about the different centers. So like the heart, head, and the body. And
Time to take that test.
Yeah, you take each one, and then you get a tri-type, and so that tri-type has like a mission, right, or a purpose, like a life purpose. And I really did associate with that quite a bit because it's something that I found myself associating with quite a bit. but then I also am very critical on myself for it. So, you know, it's things that I'll say, I don't know, like I should talk to this person and I should help this person and I should think about this or think about that. And really what it's come down to is the 512 explanation is pretty much that you try to understand a moralistic idea, like a moral, and then try to give it to others after it's been logically broken down. So I relate to that quite a bit. But
I'd like to interrupt really quick if that's cool.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sure you guys know the other ESTP that's famous on YouTube, like avidly famous. His name is EJRND, and he has some famous spots on the internet as well. Yeah, do you guys know him?
Yeah,
I do.
I don't like to hold grudges against people, but he would be one of them.
Dude, honestly, I've met him. I was his Facebook friend for a while. He's not a friendly, I don't know. I always got a negative vibe from him. I can't surround myself with people like that. I mean, if you see this, bro, come to California. I'll kick your ass regardless. But I hold grudges against people. I forgive, but I never forget. So fuck them. So if you're watching this, just know that 4 years ago, just don't fuck with the wrong people, man. Hate it.
I wanted to do a collaboration a while ago on my ENFJ channels discussion, and he pretty much wanted me, like, he responded with "worship me."
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Give me a sec. I think, would you guys be interested in talking to an INTP and another ENTJ?
Sure, bring them in.
Yeah.
Okay, let me see if they're even online. Dude, I have so many people you guys can talk to and stuff. I also have an ESFP. I have an ISTP. I don't know if you guys want me to bring in people. I know people. Hey.
We're on a boat.
Yeah. But,
All right, so
go on.
Where were we with the other topic, Trey? Did you finish? Where were you, Trey? Or did you?
Yeah, I pretty much finished. I mean, I didn't want to drag it on too long, so I tried to just shortcut it. Main idea is I like helping people.
Yeah, so I guess it's my turn. I'll be happy to share. So some of my core desires is really to structure my environment with kind of an ever-evolving perspective, ultimately surrounding myself in integrity and truth, leaving behind foundational belief systems that I used to have that I feel impede successful relationships, and to foster successful relationships with others. And I think change is necessary to enforce. And this change happens as a result of values that I've built over the course of my life. Ultimately, it is sorting out undeniable truths that are found within people, using different systems of knowledge to be able to enhance people's lives, and building a business around that to further spread that and create connections which are able to cultivate values in other people. And ultimately freeing barriers that limit people's potential in the world today. And so change in the economic system is also a big part of it. For me, I'm really interested in politics. I'm really interested in making change in those areas as well. Ultimately, I want to make people have a comfortable method of living. And I don't necessarily mean even financially, but for me, it's much more than that. So making sure that I have established a sense of integrity in doing this as well. So it's, for me, integrity is one of my strongest values. And I hate when that aspect of myself is threatened, whether it's by me, myself, or it's by someone else. And that puts me in a position which makes me question my own integrity, which I hate. For me, I think there's a lot of, like I said, undeniable truths that stand out, and bringing them into the light of awareness for a lot of people who may have had struggles. And when I was younger, from another aspect of this is that I suffered a lot when I was younger. And everybody has their own struggles in life, and they have a lot their own version of suffering. And I don't think that people should have to suffer. You know, I think it's for some people it's necessary, but for other people, I don't think it's they don't need to be subjugated to that kind of pain. And I think that you know, I used that pain, turned it around, and did what I did with it, and turned it into a learning experience. But a lot of people, I don't like knowing that I'm spending my day doing whatever and not really taking my life and aiming it in a direction so that maybe one less person can suffer. So it's been a fuel and a powerful motivation for me for the longest period of time to be able to build a business and contribute to people and be able to free them from a life they didn't choose, a life they were whirlwinded into by accident or whatever happened that put them in that position. So for me, ultimately, it's being able to free people from barriers and being able to free them from circumstances and being able to empower them to break free of situations in which they may have unconsciously put themselves in. So to end self-sabotage in that regard. That's a
You sure you're not? You sure you're not an ENFJ?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, I can tell. Interesting. It just sounds like something an ENFJ would do,
Yeah,
or an FJ in general.
It's
I'm just gonna, I want to copy and paste that for me.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, that seems something more Daniel would say, but okay.
yeah,
It's your
so
turn, sir.
ultimately,
Oh, sorry.
just to sum that up, I mean, I don't, like I said, the value system is my guiding compass. It's that inferior role that plays a big part into my personality. And a lot of people have accused me of FJ because of that, but my values have always been a very strong part of me. Much like our audience has said that you're very rooted in your NI. FI has been a very strong guiding compass for me, and it's something that I've learned to come to terms with. When I was younger, it was all about structure, order. I've always avoided the feeling aspect, but at the core, if I look past the what we see at the surface level, whether it's profit margins, whether it's business success, whether it's whatever, what vehicle you drive. But if we look past the surface, what we identify is there's a consistent value that's going to live past us. And when we're dead, it's what was carried past that. And I take my values to the grave. And so they're very important to me, but that's where they come from. So that being said, Daniel, I don't know how this differs from you, but for me, it's been always a very strong guiding compass. So how does that, number one, when you answer this question, how does that inferior function play a role into the way that you're aiming your particular purpose?
So like, this is gonna sound really TE, but if you imagine, like, if you like, all right, so you know what defragging, right, is on a computer, Jet?
Do what?
I do understand, yes.
Like a defragment
To
scan.
defragment your hard drive.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
like, remember what that looks like? All the little squares, and then like, you're really consolidating, kind of. So like, my perception of like my purpose or like my existence, it's to like, if you take all of humanity, and you like I kind of see in the sense of like wanting to defrag everybody, in the sense of helping people realize their own purpose and set people up for their own success, which in turns help the wheel of humanity. And so I kind of I grew up kind of always kind of throwing every bit of knowledge of people that I came to know in the pot of my framework, which I want to kind of help other people with. And so like, I kind of always grew up seeing other people's potentials. I never really understood why people never took advantage of their own potentials, but then I realized that they weren't aware of it. And so, it comes easy for me to help others with what may seem like a really extreme difficulty in doing, and understanding the process or the unique process that they must walk on themselves to achieve that motivation, that purposefulness, that relevancy within their own life. And so it doesn't make me any more happier for when somebody tells me, I found my life purpose and I'm doing all these great things, and I discovered that spark, right? And I'm just taking advantage of the spark and making it a huge fire.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. That's cool.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, I'll give you an example. Like, it meant the world to me. I was talking to somebody I met because of MBTI. She was in an extreme situation where she wasn't supported by her parents. She was going to a school for a career she didn't want, and she wanted to do all these other different things. And so pretty much she contacted me after like I was like helping her, because she's a friend at that point. She's like, I took your advice and I ended up becoming a model, and I'm doing all these different things, but yet I'm pursuing school for a totally different career. And, I couldn't have done this without you, right? And so it's like kind of like being able to see how people use the resourcefulness that I've not shown them from within themselves, or just shown them the different opportunities that they have with the skills that they're born with, And so it's really cool seeing what people are able to do once they realize that they're Superman.
All right. So
Gotcha.
Blake, you got it.
Hey,
What is
Blake,
what is your exact life purpose, Blake? Oh, you're still on mute.
Existence of
I
spiritual
think he's
being.
dead.
Sorry,
I'm here.
repeat that, Blake. I just took you off mute.
Oh, wow. Okay, sorry. To get to the deepest spiritual connection I can get, you know, there's a couple things I gotta do that for right now that are gonna such a censor thing to say. Talking about the right now. Yeah, sorry.
Blake, we're not judging, man. Just your exact life purpose. Do we have to show you 3 things, Blake?
Guys, I want to get through my ego development. Okay, I want to.
No, fuck that. Come on, let's talk.
Come on, man. Dude, I want to freaking leave a legacy in my family. I want to make sure that every single person knew that I came here not to screw around, but to help people.
What's wrong with screwing around?
I did spend the majority of my time screwing around. How about that? That's a better one. I want to find enjoyment out of
Spring around.
not screwing around. The opposite of that.
Okay.
I want to be able to develop the language to accurately describe my life's purpose. That's my life purpose.
The search for understanding your purpose.
Yeah, sure. And of course it changes. But your life purpose will change. And I hope it does for a lot of people, honestly.
That eyebrow raise is like,
Oh man.
Shots fired.
All right. So Jet, now what is your exact life purpose besides screwing around, which we know is up there, right?
Oh, that's my only life purpose, man.
Okay, just wanted to be sure if there was anything else.
Okay, but if you want me to have a more serious tone to this conversation, I can.
Oh no, man! It's
please.
embracing you in the element. That's the key. Whatever it is, that's what it is.
What's it like?
Don't let me set the tone.
Right.
Like I said, I'm ENTJ. I'm gonna sound serious even though I'm not. So.
Then shall I set the tone? Let's just all
Go
fuck
ahead.
around then. If you want me to boil it or give you the surface level, it's to fuck around. Okay, that's like ultimately, and by fuck around, I mean I want to live leisurely. I want to live extravagantly and live with an inexorbitant amount of money one day, hopefully in the bajillions amounts of dollars. Don't care about women servants, don't care about male servants. I just want to spend my time in the way fuck my life away. But yeah, but on the more serious note, to basically better myself every day and make myself better than who I was yesterday. And eventually it'll get to the point where I do have a family because I want to have kids one day and spread onto them what I've learned in life so they get that little bit head start compared to other kids. And hopefully within time and generations past, like my great-grandchildren will be so much more advanced in terms of like life experience. No, anybody else's children, just because. Yeah, sorry if the audio is not syncing up.
Yeah, no worries. I just shut the cam off real quick, so you can go ahead though.
Yeah, but that's it. It's really luxuriously. One day, I guess, quote unquote, make it big and spend useless amount of money on cars, because that's, yes, sarcasm and right there, but
yeah, you should.
You know,
that's what drives me.
I can relate
Yeah.
to that. I mean,
Money.
I absolutely love money. You know, obviously I went
interesting.
into my values and what I wanted ultimately to do, because you said purpose for me, so that's what stood out. But I'm all about having fun on the way there, though.
Exactly. If you're not having fun,
Yeah.
just go be a stick in the mud somewhere else.
Yeah, I'm all about having some fun on the way there, and that's one of the better sides of money too, is just having some fun, enjoying it. I'm a big car fan, so
Hell
I
yeah,
can
man.
definitely.
Ooh, what kind of car do you drive?
So I don't drive anything fancy these days. I drive a regular old Toyota Corolla, but
Oh,
I'm
man.
a huge car fan. I used to have a Corvette, and that was a blast. It was a '78.
Oh shit! Damn, that must have been like that's really old, dude.
Yeah,
Are you into
78.
like hypercars and stuff?
Yeah, I'm more into like the European exotic cars. That's my
Oh,
little,
you're into Aston Martins. You're into
yes.
Porsches. Okay, not bad. I'm into
Yeah.
the JDM, so I'll see you on the other side.
Yeah, we got that taste. But you know that old Corvette, I spent some time and I really built that Corvette out. So I put a truck engine in it, overboard it, put my own
Right.
performance transmission in it, but it had a '78 body. So that's what made it so much fun because those came stock at 180 horsepower.
Yeah.
And so it wound up being a little over 400.
Holy shit, dude! You have a
Yeah,
lot of
so-
time and money on your hands, which is
Yeah,
good.
that was a blast though. I had a good time with that car, and I was like, man, I really shouldn't have sold it. That was I kicked myself in the rear for that one, but you know.
Hey, Jet,
Daniel, yeah, go ahead, ask your question.
we should go to gambling tournaments together.
Are you down?
I'm down.
Are you,
That's awesome. And you win millions of
Okay.
dollars and then create your own life where you're just surrounded by a bunch of beautiful women and a cat, of course.
On a serious note, I do
You know-
I like Texas Hold'em.
here too, so let's play.
All right.
But I
Trying to-
don't consider my right now.
All right, so we're still losing you a little bit, Jet, the connection. I don't know if you have a lot of applications open. We are losing you a little bit. But that being said,
Yeah, actually,
go ahead.
like- I'm like for 24.
Yeah, I can barely make it out what you're saying, but
You
yeah.
have to cancel those torrents.
Darn.
Cancel those torrents, the illegal downloads, and then it might
Yeah.
actually work.
Yes.
So that being said, though, I do want to start wrapping this call up, and we've been running here an hour and a half. Any last questions from you guys to Jet or anything from the audience as well? Please post now. That way we can make sure we get the questions to him. So that being said, Daniel, Blake, Trey, you got any questions for Jet off the top of your mind while he's here?
Send me your workout regimen and let's play poker.
This guy.
And let's or
Yeah,
or
bro.
slash let's practice MMA together.
This guy. Okay, I mean, you could kill. Sure. Do you live in Cali?
No, I'm in New York. Unfortunately.
Grown. Other ESTPs. More often than not, yes, and I do find them kind of annoying.
What's up?
He's answering
Oh,
questions.
yes, someone had a question. No.
Were you already answering a question?
Yeah. Does anyone else have questions? Because I gotta pee.
All right, guys. So let's end this. Hey, Jet, thank you so much for joining us. It's jetplane48. People, make sure you subscribe to him if you're watching this video. Jetplane48, and again, Blake, Daniel, Trey, thanks for joining us, and thanks again, Jet.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, go pee.